What's up, folks? It's 2bricks, and I'm so excited to bring you another one of my minifigure scale mocks that I guess I'm going to be calling Ultimate Minifigure Scale. I don't really know what to call it anymore, but Ultimate Playset Scale doesn't really fit with this because it is fully minifigure scale, but it does have the full tricked out detail that you'd expect from my Ultimate Playset Scale series. So I don't know, it's a new type of a thing, I guess, a new designation. But this is really two mocks that I'm going to be showing you today. That is the ship and also the stand, which I've made to be fairly compatible with a lot of my smaller designs, my smaller ships and things that you want to pitch at a nice angle like this, flying through space and taking out the bad guys or good guys, depending on which ship you put on this. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of make that available as well. It's been a little bit of a long time coming for me to have a sort of a generic, useful stand to place all of my little smaller starships on. So hopefully you guys think that's cool and worthy as well. And of course, you can see here I have a couple of stickers and things that I've applied, just ones that I cut out myself super quickly without much fuss to just make this look even just a little bit more authentic. So I'll be pointing those out as I go. But this mock, as you see it here, is available to download the instructions for right now on my Rebrickable page. You can get the PDF instructions, which I make in the studio building software, and then you can actually order the parts yourself on Rebrickable and get everything that you need to build your own RZ-1 A-Wing mock. So yay for that, exciting. I'm really excited to get in and talk about the design process of this a little bit today and show you some of the, not features, but some of the kind of aesthetic touches that, that this has, because aside from landing gear and rotating cannons and a little opening cockpit, there's really not much action feature-wise to this, but I do have quite a few interesting novel solutions to previous kind of problems that have plagued the A-Wing building community for a while. So I'm really excited to get in and share those with you guys. So yeah, without any further waffling, let's get in and take a look at the RZ-1 A-Wing mock. Okay, so I want to start by showing you all the custom stickers that I made, just so you know what's a decoration on the ship and what is not. So I have this little piece right here, which I cut out of a spare sticker sheet. These two panel pieces, which I took from a very old UFO sticker sheet that I had lying around, and then these little custom details at the front, which I just made by very sloppily, you can see here, very unevenly cutting some bits of red sticker and sticking it onto some white and then cutting around that. And then we have these two little red triangles here and here. And then finally on the actual windshield piece here, I've placed two stripes of black, just taken from the edge of a regular sticker sheet where they always have that black line printed. And I just thought that would help to make it look a little bit more like an official A-Wing cockpit piece. And this is a very old cockpit piece, but it really, it's like so perfect for the A-Wing, the way that this little conical shape at the front here swoops into the rest of that shape. And then just the fact that there's no attachment point here just makes it perfect. So it just like fits so smoothly onto the cockpit or onto the main fuselage body there. And I really love this piece. So that was definitely the one I had to use for this model. Everything else that you see that looks like, you know, decoration is just brick built detail. Those are the only stickers that I've applied. And then I'll start to kind of go through some of the design challenges that I had when making this. So I kind of started from front to back, because the first thing that I wanted to figure out was this notch right here. I knew that the A-Wing had this iconic little notch out at the front here, and everyone has their own sort of unique way of dealing with that solution or finding a solution to that problem. I didn't want it to be a full plate or a full brick of thickness. All right, I wanted it to be slightly narrower than that, just so that your eyes registered that that wasn't just a, I guess, normal building technique where you just simply leave out one stud. And so that required building this entire front assembly here sideways in order to be able to place this two plate of thickness of assembly down in here. And then this entire assembly, I had to figure out how to, you know, have it angle in here and just perfectly line up into the rest of the ship. And I think if I just peel off a couple of these details on the side here, I can show you a couple of the panel sections and show you how I was able to achieve that. So you can see down in here, I've just had to create a very hollow space in here, and then I have clips on this side and clips buried into the body here, and then that holds onto a 4x and a 3x bar, so that makes a total of 7 studs going across this. And then we have a little kind of narrow, a little hollow space on the inside of the wings here, which just allows that bar, which is just ever so slightly too long, to fit into the space in between the wings there. So that was really, really challenging and fun to figure out. And then, so once I had that figured out, then the next thing I knew I wanted to use these large wedge pieces here for the sides because they're just the perfect shape. But then I had to figure out how to slightly elongate and slightly extend these out because the shape is just not quite wide enough. It actually gets a little bit wider as it goes to the back. So I came up with these little assemblies in here that are, again, two plates thick that are just connected in here, sandwiched between these two top and bottom sections, and then just flare out ever so slightly towards the back to meet up with this section, which is 1 brick further back than where this terminates. So that was really fun to figure out, and it took me a little while. Then I have these relatively new rounded bricks with the one single stud on the end, and that allowed me to attach these cone and unicorn horn pieces here to just perfectly taper out the end of that shape and just have it meet up so satisfyingly with the end of this and make it all flush and beautiful, while still allowing me to have the black in here for the torpedo tubes. So that was just absolutely a perfect match made in heaven situation there. And the cool thing is, you can see down in here, there's a tiny, tiny gap in between this main subassembly and this section of the ship. And that's actually, well, it's kind of a happy accident of the way that this was all constructed with the 2 plate thickness in the middle here. So that tiny gap allows for this cone to be angled ever so slightly in and still be a legal technique that doesn't create any strain or any tension, because there's just enough room for it to tuck itself in there just so nicely. And man, that could not have worked out any better if I had tried or planned it that way. It just sort of what ended up, you know, happening due to the parts and the geometry of LEGO, and I'm super happy that it worked out the way that it did. So you have your rotating cannons here on the side. So those are just on a clip. It's able to move up and down. I initially did have it attached in here with just a double clip piece that was holding onto this like super securely, but I actually felt like it was nicer to have the functionality of that rotating thing, because that's something that we're used to seeing on a lot of X-Wing A-Wing toys and things over the years. I don't know that we ever see it do that in canon. The cannons do that in canon, but it was cool to be able to, you know, integrate that. So I have that in there, and I'm really liking the way that this dark gray half Technic pin kind of just fleshes out the underside of this cannon here, and then we have the binocular piece to create the you know, holder for the top part of the cannon there. I think that all just worked out really nicely. It's a really nice narrow profile to it as well with the binocular piece. Like I considered initially using the 1x2 round plate with the 2 holes in to you know, create the top and bottom barrels, but the binocular piece just worked out so much better. So yeah, there's that. Then moving to the back. So the back has a whole host of other challenges. So first of all, creating this little angled section here, which tapers back ever so slightly from the 4 wide cockpit here into the, I guess, 2 and a little bit wide back section here, was very tricky to figure out. And what I've basically done here is I have these modified plates with the Technic pin holders in them, and those are holding the outer walls in place. And then on top of this, we have just a little assembly that perfectly fits in and just sort of, you know, absolutely just fills up the space as best as it possibly can, and then just gives you that little bit of a covering on the top there. And there's just very tiny gaps off to the side. They're really not noticeable when you're swooshing the thing around, and it just gives it that really nice, sophisticated, kind of subtle angling that you want to see back there. And then I also just used a bar piece here to fill in this end little gap, and then also give you that little tiny bit of sort of vent detailing that you see on the actual model down there. And then we have this whole kind of round section in here with the little extra sort of, I don't know what those are supposed to be, little kind of engine burner details. Maybe that's for like an extra boost of speed or something. But yeah, we have this like lovely double round or double half round thing that meets up and becomes kind of one large shape there. So obviously I'm using the fender pieces mounted one upside down, and then in here we're using the technique of placing tiles inside of clips to hold those, to hold that in place and just fill in that middle gap perfectly. And then we have also the 1x2 rounded plates in there to fill out those little 4 extra engine booster details that you see there. And then I left the space hollow intentionally to leave a gap for the engine geometry in here to have a space to be able to fit. So that's what you see there. It's kind of ambiguous a lot of the photos of the original shooting models of this show some sort of detail or something in here, but I left it blank because I just felt like it wasn't worth trying to figure out how to jam something in there just for the sake of it, and then having the engines have a place to go felt important. And it doesn't like impact the structural stability at all, so I just kind of left it as it was. And I think that worked out really well. So then the next thing I had to figure out is how to get the engines to taper down, because they get narrower as they go back. And also I really wanted to get that stripy look that these engine pods have. So I'm using the same technique that I used for the engine pods for my LAAT gunship. So these, you know, the sloped bricks that have the top tiled off portion, and then the other ones that have the plate that goes underneath, connecting all those together in a single assembly, and then making up the side of the structure through that way. And then I have the 1x1 modified bricks with the 4 plates on all sides through here, and then I have a bar that's running through into this part of the ship. So all of this is held in very nice and securely, and you can actually hold up the whole ship from this engine. Sorry, it's off screen there, but you can see here that's really nice and secure. And the rigidity of it means that once you set the angle for these fins, it holds itself in very nicely indeed. So yeah, figuring out how to get that to taper down, fit into the space required. I even have a little bit of a gap filler in there just to fill out that one plate area where I can reduce the gap in the body there just a little bit. That was really, really fun and tricky to figure out. And then of course, coming back here, we have the booster ring kind of section. That was like probably the #1 thing that I wanted to get correct for this model, or have my own unique solution for. And what I ended up doing, I tried out a bunch of things. I had transparent wheels with white rubber bands on the outside that was held in with clear bars that plugged into this part. I had a bunch of stuff I was trying out. I tried a brick-built slope solution that looked terrible. I tried every kind of fender piece I could get my hands on. So what I ended up doing is using these life preserver rings, which are connected in here with the bar and the stud, and then connects into this bracket, and that plugs into the fin right here. And so I'll just pull off that whole assembly and show you. So that life preserver ring is made to be held by minifigure hands. So I was able to actually use these 1x1 clips all around to create the ring surface. And what's really cool is on the actual shooting model, you can see here they have the yellow on the inside of this. I think it almost might even be painted that way to look like the engine glow is just producing this intense heat on the inside of this ring. So using the yellow life preserver gave me that kind of illusion really, really well. And it also has these nice little kind of stepped details all the way through the inside of this as well, which you're kind of getting here with the clip pieces, the way that that's all held in. So it really just couldn't have worked out more perfectly. The only thing I would switch maybe is the bright light yellow bar piece here. If they ever make these in white, it might be less conspicuous overall, but it really doesn't bother me. It's such a tiny little bit of detail that you know, you could just see it under there just a little bit, but I think it totally works. And you could just imagine that to be more kind of situational lighting if you really want to. But it gives you the hollow ring, and then the bottom fin just fits right in here in between these two clips very, very perfectly indeed. And it gives you the hollow ring with no need to attach anything into the back of the ship here, like through the middle, which is what people normally end up having to do. And it gives you the hollow interior, which was super important to me as well. So really, that could not have worked out any more perfectly for my purposes, and I'm super thrilled with that. Initially, I was going to use the pre-made LEGO panels for this because they're A-wing panels, right? They're for that purpose. But I realized that they're actually pretty off shape-wise. Let me see if I can just grab one and show you the difference. So yeah, you can see here the actual piece is not only a little bit shorter than I would want it to be for my scale, but it has this really tall fin section up here, and then this part is dramatically shorter than it ought to be if you're trying to represent a minifigure-scale A-wing. So yeah, once I realized that that was out the window, then the custom fins just became the only way to go, and then that just kind of unlocked all of the technique that I was developing for this, and it all just kind of cascaded and worked out really well. So the cool thing about it is you can do really nice custom detail in here for the different off-color bits of panel, which I really like, and then it gives you that little bit of asymmetry on either side. And then also it allows you to have the bottom fin here be shorter, which it should be, and also the curve here to terminate sooner than it does up on the top. So this one is longer. So the thicker section of this is longer overall, and then the section down here is shorter, and that just helps as well to give you that illusion that you see on the real ship, where this whole section kind of angles back a little bit, and this has a sharper curve to it than up here. This is a more gentle slope. So just all of that was enabled by making the decision to go full custom for these fins, and I'm really, really happy that I did. And then that just clips in here using, again, the tiles clipping into LEGO clips technique. So I have 2 on top and 2 on bottom, and then that just perfectly holds these right in here, snug up against the edges of the design. So yeah, super, super thrilled with all of that, how that all came out. And yeah, that's my Minifigure-Scale A-Wing for you. Oh, let me just give you a quick look at the bottom here as well. So I tried to keep this fairly clean. We have a couple of sections in here which I would consider to be, I guess, fragile. So you can either move them slightly out towards the edge here so that they line up with the outer part of this, and then give you a slightly wider gap in here for the landing gear, or you can move them in slightly and hug them right up against the landing gear. It's up to you how you want to do that. Either way works perfectly fine, but yeah, the satisfying kind of sloping of that down in there just feels very nice to me. I'm super, super happy with all of that. And then having enough clutch down here to actually connect this into the stand is very satisfying as well. Yeah, this all just worked out absolutely great. So yeah, let's take a look at the interior here, and then we'll kind of wrap up for today. So you can see, if I can get this to focus. There you go. So you can see down in here, he's got his little control console. I'll take the pilot out. You can see there a very comfy seat for the pilot to sit in. Got a little seat back cushion there, and a little extra room for the helmet there, which is very chunky. So I made sure to not put a seat cushion back there so that his head could fit. And then we have 2 actually representations for the control yokes down in here. That's just using one of those modified 1x2 plates with the 2 bars sticking off to the side, connected in slot ways. And then again, a very specialized little detail piece here. This is actually a backpack piece, one of those that you add into, I think it wasn't a Stormtrooper, I forget where this came off of, but it was a light bluish gray, and it had these little button details in here which just perfectly match a thing that you see on the actual A-Wing, and I just absolutely loved that, and I wanted to use it in this one. But yeah, you have just exactly the right amount of room for your fig to sit down in here. Using all the sideways building in order to get the exact right gap was definitely, again, tricky to figure out, but very, very rewarding once I got it. And then you just pop the canopy on there, and it is held in with just these 2 studs, and it's very, very secure the way that it's held in. And then we have this little lip created here by these bracket pieces that just sits right up against the edge of this and just holds it perfectly in place, just how you would want it to be. So there you go. There is your Kuat Drive Yards RZ-1 A-Wing Interceptor, more commonly known as the A-Wing Starfighter. And then last thing before we go, I just wanted to show you the stress test, the swishability test. You could pick this up from anywhere on the ship. The only thing that's really fragile, I would say, is these sections right in here are held in with 2 studs, and they can sometimes pop off. But you can actually display it like standing on the engines. It's very sturdy that way. This whole section, oh, there you go, there's one of those, so that proves my point. This whole section right here is clipped in with clips, but it is very securely held in position, and it probably won't go anywhere on you, but I wouldn't recommend yanking on this too much, since it is one of the more fragile sections of the build. But this whole central section here is very densely built with plates and sideways building and bricks connecting into the holes of Technic pin bricks and things, so very, very securely jammed in place there. So definitely you can easily grab it from the side, you can easily grab it from the back and do your swooshing like that. So yeah, overall a very rugged little A-Wing, and one that I was actually a little bit worried when I was initially building it would not be a very rugged build, because it had a lot of fragility in the beginning as I was figuring out all the different sections and how they're going to come together, but then I was able to dive in and then sort of tie everything together by using a few different connecting techniques that I had not initially thought of, and then all the elements came together very, very sturdy, and super happy with it. So there you go. All right, folks, so there you have it. There is the Minifigure-Scale A-Wing Interceptor. I was really happy with how this turned out and how it looks on the shelf next to my X-Wing and some of my other Star Wars minifigure-scale ships. I really like the stand as far as like the angle that it pitches the ship at. It really feels like that sort of Return of the Jedi final battle. You know, the A-Wings coming in to kamikaze into the Super Star Destroyer there. It's a very dramatic and definitely a big fan of that. So yeah, if you do end up getting the stand, you can connect it with a whole bunch of other 2bricks MOCs. So you can see some of the ones right here that I just have on hand that I'm able to connect it to. And again, you get that nice dramatic angle of a ship absolutely in the throes of a dogfight, in the fight of its life. And it's super fun and interesting angle, I think, to place your ships at. So there you go. If you do end up building the A-Wing, that is something that will help to support the channel. And I am planning very soon as well to launch my Patreon. That's going to be coming out next month, I believe. I'm just getting all of my ducks in a row as far as the perks and things that I want to offer, and making sure that I can deliver on all of the cool things that I want to share with you guys. But there's a little bit of kind of external life stuff that I'm waiting to resolve before I get that going. But Patreon should be up next month, let's hope. And then you'll be able to not only support the channel by buying all of the cool MOCs that you love to see from 2bricks, but you'll be able to support my work in like the review space as well, where I really have a hard time being able to keep up with all of the sets that LEGO puts out and the things that I want to review and sometimes cannot due to just prohibitive cost. And so that's something that will definitely help to alleviate that. So I'm really excited to unroll some of those perks to show you guys. I have some cool things in the works. Very exciting indeed. But in the meantime, if you want to support the channel, you can like the video, you can leave a comment, you can share this channel with a friend, you can subscribe if you're not already, and you can download the instructions, and you get a really cool A-Wing to boot. So there you go. So yeah, links are down in the description for that. And I really appreciate you guys for everything that you do to help the channel to grow and to stay alive. So much appreciated on that. I'm gonna get to work on the next video. I have an update to my T6 shuttle that I need to bring you guys as soon as I can. So I'm gonna get to work on that. That's still a lot of work ahead of me. And until the next one, thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you.